So let's open this up to our guests who join us here. Ashok Sajjanar, former diplomat, is with us. Shashank Sareen, senior fellow ORF, is with us as well. Admiral Girish Garg is a defense expert and geopolitics expert. Angie Wong, Republican strategist, and former Iranian diplomat Milad Rabbani is here as well. Let me begin by asking Admiral Garg, what do you make of these claims? Of course, there is a certain narrative war, and we have to take these claims with a pinch of salt. But if it is true that there is indeed an American pilot in Iranian custody, where do you think that will take this war from here on?
I think if this claim by Iran is true, it marks a significant turning point in this current war between the US, Israel, and Iran, because that pilot in custody of Iran would be a tremendous leverage for Iran against the United States. And apart from human leverage, the psychological effect of having shot down a F-35 or F-15, whichever one it finally turns out to be, whether it's F-35 or F-15, both are tremendously advanced, state-of-the-art aircraft, which US is very proud of. And the fact that after claiming that a complete air defense system of Iran has been massacred by US, and they still shoot down such an advanced airplane, speaks volumes about the degrading capability of US, as well as the survival capability of Iranian air defense. So I think in either way, whether it is a psychological advantage of having a pilot or having shot down, it would mark a remarkable turning point in this war.
Shashank Sareen, we were speaking in the afternoon as well when reports were just trickling in. That was about 2 hours ago or so, and we were talking about what this could mean for the war, what this could mean for the United States. So far, there is no confirmation coming in either from the Iranian side, in the sense that neither the IRGC or anyone within the Iranian administration has come out and confirmed this, neither has the United States. So is this something that could be more of a propaganda war, or do you think this could have actually happened?
Poonam, it doesn't look like a propaganda war. It seems that an incident has taken place. An aircraft has been shot down. We don't know what aircraft, probably an F-15. And the two pilots are missing. Now, whether the pilots are all right, they are in custody, they are on the run, we don't know about that. Maybe they are in custody, and maybe the IRGC or whoever has arrested them is not bringing them before the public. But whatever be the case, the fact that the surrounding the circumstantial evidence that you have these search and rescue missions being mounted suggests that something has actually happened. Now, if indeed the pilot has been shot down and captured, then I would imagine that it does give the Iranians a bit of a leverage, not too much. Look, wars don't come to an end because an aircraft has been shot down or a pilot has been captured, right? It does put pressure on the US administration that some of the claims, as the Admiral was talking about, those are going to be questioned in the American system. But does this bring a war to an end? This is not the first time American pilots have been shot down in hostile territory or have been captured. I would imagine that the Iranians, for very good reasons, will make sure they will certainly interrogate, they will parade the guy around, everything. But if they indeed capture the pilot, I would imagine that they will treat him decently. I don't think they are going to, lose the propaganda point by doing something untoward towards the pilot. So to that extent, it's all very well. But I would imagine that, with those claims being challenged, because this is not the first time an aircraft has been hit by the Iranian air defense. There have been reports earlier of an F-35 being hit. There have been reports of other aircraft being damaged. So it is possible that, the air operations will undertake some kind of tactical adjustments to ensure that these incidents don't happen. But other than that, I would also not be surprised that if Donald Trump, given the kind of mood he seems to be in, insists that the pilot is immediately released, and if obviously the Iranians are not going to do that, then he escalates the conflict to a point where it becomes unmanageable. See, already by targeting that bridge in Iran, the Iranians are now threatening to target other civilian infrastructure in the Arab world, including the causeway which links Bahrain with Saudi Arabia. Now, if that is the direction in which this war is going to go, then the kind of destruction and devastation that this war is going to bring upon this region. And it's not going to be limited to this region. It's setting up the whole world on fire, really. It's creating problems for the rest of the globe. And frankly, I don't know about Donald Trump's ratings in the United States, but I think his global ratings have plummeted. I don't think there's anybody around the world who has anything good to say about this administration anymore. It's shocking how bad the kind of ratings are. And then, he's seeking the assistance of allies, and he is insulting them left, right, and center. You have to wonder if this guy is even in his right mind, in the right state of mind, because it's quite clear that the Trump derangement syndrome is not applicable to other people, it's applicable to him. There is a certain amount of derangement that we are seeing in the way he's behaving, and we never expected an American president to be doing something like this. It's crazy what's happening.
And it's not just global ratings, Sushant Sareen, it's the domestic ratings and domestic pressures also that Donald Trump seems to be feeling. And Angie Wong, I want to get you in on that. I mean, so far there is no confirmation coming in from US CENTCOM, which has been putting out updates of what's been happening. The Iranian administration or the IRGC also has not put out. But the fact of the matter is the Iranian media is circulating this. It is something that people are talking about. Is this going to be loss of face for Donald Trump?
Not loss of face of Donald Trump, because what we're looking at could possibly be very old footage. We have no indication that it is footage from today. In fact, you now see reports of U.S. Rescue jets flying over the region, well manned. It's one large jet with 3 or 4 different supporting jets searching for this downed F-35 or F-15. As your report says, all F-35s are accounted for in the region. That's coming from the Pentagon. So we don't know when this footage was taken, where it was taken, or if it's even real. So I think until we have those facts, we can't really talk about the politics of this, other than, this could be a response to Donald Trump's speech the other night.
Just to interrupt you, to tell you this, that this is not the first time that something like this has happened, where Iranian media has made certain claims or Iran has made certain claims only for the United States to eventually concede to it, maybe a few days later. This is also, if this has happened, if F-35s and 2 of them have been shot down in the last 24 hours, there wouldn't be the first such instance or the 4th such instance. There have been at least 2 other occasions where F-35s have been brought down, something that the US has conceded to eventually.
Eventually, but right now, within the first 24 hours, we would want to do our own reconnaissance. And also, if a pilot was taken, we would want to see proof of life. And those are things that will come down in the next few hours. And I can understand there's not going to be any reporting, at least for the next couple of hours, until we can verify anything that has taken place. As you mentioned, Central Command, Pentagon, and the White House have not made comments on this whatsoever. This has been at least 2 hours since the incident had happened. I expect that if anything were to come out today, it would come out certainly from the Pentagon or the White House. But so far, no one's talking. So we're not sure we can even verify the story has actually taken place.
Poonam, if I can just add a sentence.
Yes, Sushant Sareen.
So the only thing I have to say to Angie is I understand that, there is a certain amount of silence which is going to be kept until you can actually confirm the news. But when she says that we don't know if this incident has happened, and then she says there are these search and rescue missions being mounted, then why are the search and rescue missions being mounted if some incident has not taken place?
Well, to verify that it actually happens. You need to verify. You can't just put these stories out. We know that this is a media war as well as an on-the-ground military operation. So, you can't, of course this is going to happen. This is not contradictory. We have to find out for ourselves if there is a pilot that was missing. Of course, we're going to go and do a rescue mission immediately. So why would that be in any way out of line for the U.S. to do a search if there was reports of a pilot missing? It's not, but if you're suggesting that a pilot, that a jet didn't go down at all, or that a pilot wasn't missing, then why is that rescue mission happening? That was the question being put to you. But Milaz Rabbani, I want to ask you this. As far as Iran is concerned, there is a certain escalation that we have seen from both sides, from both ends, from the United States and Israel put together, and the Iranian side. The fact that, or whether they have an American pilot within their custody or not, if that is true,
How do you think that's going to be a leverage tool for Iran? How do you think they will leverage this in the war that's ongoing?
First of all, we are not in the position to confirm or deny this.
Sure.
And if the Iranian regime, they had this pilot, they will use it as a news feed, at least for the people and public opinion inside the Iran, because it can be at least for them a leverage. But by my experience of IRGC and Iranian regime, they are professional in fake news and lying, and they believe we should say lies as big and as much as possible. And if they had any proof of that, any evidence for that, I'm sure they will. At least they showed in the national TV. But I believe it can. I don't confirm or deny that. We are not in a position, as I told you. But it is not a big deal for the what happened. And it can be something for escalation of the war. And if even Iranian regime can take 1, 2, or 5 pilots, the Israel or US, they will not say, okay, we succumb, we leave the war, because they have their purposes. And the tactic of war, I believe, was a mistake by Donald Trump. And this war will be escalated, and we will see a long war.
Angie Wong, how do you see that assessment? A strategic mistake, several miscalculations, and by Trump's own admission, they didn't see a lot of things coming, including the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Is that why he's decided to dump it now? That whether or not it's cleared or not, Donald Trump says we'll walk away when the war is over, as per us?
Yeah, clearly the war is not over, especially with this new development, if it turns out to be true. Here's what's happening. There is a anti-aircraft equipment being flown around the region. We're just getting reports of this right now. And there is a report of a F-15E shot down over Iran. The pilot did eject, but we're still getting facts in as we speak, as this broadcast is live. So there seems to be something happening, but we're just still waiting for Central Command to confirm all of these things. Now the U.S. report, the major U.S. News agencies are reporting the same. This cannot be a hoax. If this is a hoax, then Iranian state television has completely lost the plot. It will have absolutely no credibility, and certainly President Trump will be addressing this, even if it's true or if it's not true. I think he's been pushed to have to address this today and immediately.
Well, we'll have to wait for President Donald Trump to address it, because he's already at it as far as his Truth Social posts are concerned. There was a conversation about the Strait of Hormuz, but nothing so far on the claims that are being made from the Iranian side. But Ambassador Sajjanhar, do you think that while all of this is happening, those back-channel talks, those negotiations that Donald Trump has been hinting at that are productively happening allegedly with Iran, they can actually happen? Do you think that diplomacy can find a solution to this war, even as every single day there's a higher escalation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Poonam. Number one, we really do not know. These are claims that are made by the United States, by Mr. Trump in particular.
Yes.
But as far as Iran is concerned, there has been no confirmation at all whether there are any discussions going on, at what level, who are the people involved. And in fact, even the United States, even Mr. Trump has also not been able to share this information as to who are the people, even from the US side or from the Iranian side, as to who are engaged in this conversation. What has been said is that the regime change has taken place. There are people who are much more reasonable and willing to work with us than they were earlier, but there has been no indication of that. But if you permit, what I'll say is, this event, this incident, I think if it is whatever is the situation as far as the pilot is concerned, but as Angie Wong has just said, that it is a fact that an F-15 aircraft has been shot down. So, I agree with what the earlier panelists have said. Definitely the air defense system of Iran is not as dilapidated and all spent as the United States has been claiming for the last more than 2 or 3 weeks. They still have the capacity to be able to do that. The second point is that, this is another pushback against the United States, because we see that over the last several weeks now, barring the first flurry of success that the United States got by annihilating, decapitating the top leadership, military leadership, spiritual leadership, etc. of Iran, things have not been going the right way as far as the United States is concerned. Although the United States, Mr. Trump keeps on saying that, we have achieved the objectives, etc. But, as far as the degradation of the missile capacity, whether it is the launchers or the missiles, at least on the ground, the numbers maybe might have come down somewhat, but that also is debatable. But the ferocity and the damage that they are able to inflict on Israel, and even as far as the Gulf states are concerned, I think that has been growing, that has been increasing. You showed it in your report yourself, whether it is Haifa, whether it is Dimona, whether it is Tel Aviv, all these cities are suffering very, very badly. And it doesn't seem to be coming to a close. So, whether it is in terms of the attacks by Israel, by Iran on its adversaries, Israel and the Gulf states, things don't seem to be coming down at all. They don't seem to be going the American way, even as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. We have witnessed the flip-flop that Mr. Trump has been engaging in, first saying that, we have nothing to do with it. Those who are concerned, those who are importing oil from there, gas from there, they are the ones who should go, who should try to protect it. Meaning earlier there was no protection that was required. It is only as a result of what the United States has done that, things have come to such a pass. And that the whole world is suffering. There are countries that are in the NATO, members of NATO, who are not permitting the United States to use their airspace for carrying out operations in Iran. It is whether it is France, Spain, Italy, UK, you name it. And in addition to all that, what is happening on the domestic front? I don't want to go into any great detail, but whether it is, the sacking of Pam Bondi right now, there are so many other rumors that are swirling around that we keep on hearing. So the point I make is, whether this is true or not true, to the extent that it is, things don't seem to be going too well as far as Mr. Trump and as far as the United States are concerned.
And speaking of what's left on ground, and I do want our panelists to stay on with us because I want to dig in a little deeper on that front. The claims that are being made about obliteration or degradation of military infrastructure in Iran, how true is that really? Because these claims are coming in from Washington and Tel Aviv that Iran has been decimated, but US's own intelligence assessment suggests that there is a far more complex and dangerous reality. That beneath the surface, much of Iran's missile force, their drone arsenal, their underground network remains intact. And those are raising serious questions.
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back.
5 weeks into Operation Epic Fury, relentless US and Israeli strikes have hammered Iran's military, sharply cutting their high-end missile attacks. But a major gap is opening between political rhetoric and the reality on the ground. While the White House claims Iran is decimated, US intelligence paints a much more complicated picture of the threat that remains.
Ballistic missile attacks against our forces, down 90% since the start of the conflict. Same with one-way attack UAVs. Think kamikaze drones, down 90%.
No Air Force, no Navy, very few rockets left. We blew up so many. Hard to manufacture them. Same thing with drones.
A new CNN report reveals that almost half of Iran's missile launchers are still intact. Thousands of one-way attack drones remain in Iran's arsenal. All this despite the daily pounding by US and Israeli strikes, specifically against military targets with an objective of neutralizing Iran's military capabilities. Let's turn to Iran's missile forces. According to US intelligence, only about 1/3 of Iran's vast missile stockpile has been definitively destroyed, while another third is believed to be damaged or hidden in underground facilities. Israeli officials estimate only 20 to 25% of launch systems remain, though that doesn't count weapons hidden in tunnels. At the heart of Iran's deterrence is its massive ballistic missile arsenal. Pre-war estimates on the exact size varied. Israeli military officials tracked roughly 2,500 operational missiles ready for regional strikes. However, many analysts believe that the true number is much higher, up to 6,000, when accounting for systems hidden deep within missile cities and underground storage. In addition to this inventory, Iran deployed thousands of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. Unlike complex missiles, these drones are cheap and easy to mass produce. Their sheer numbers make them nearly impossible to wipe out through targeted airstrikes alone. Iran's arsenal also features a dual-threat navy. While their traditional ships stay visible, the IRGC uses swarm tactics with small boats and drones. It's all backed by missile cities. Underground tunnels built to keep their mobile launchers hidden from Western strikes. Despite more than 12,000 US strikes hitting weapons, factories and targets over the last 5 weeks, the threat remains. According to CENTCOM, a total of 155 Iranian vessels have been confirmed as damaged or destroyed. US intelligence reports half of the Iranian fleet intact, which means for every drone site destroyed, another remains standing, leaving thousands of kamikaze drones ready to launch.
Ballistic missile attacks against our forces.
The Pentagon highlights a 90% reduction in offensive output as a primary marker of success. Analysts suggest this is Iran's deliberate rationing in an effort to conserve their remaining inventory for a prolonged conflict scenario. Launches have slowed but not finished. Israel says they have neutralized about 70% of Iran's known launchers. That still leaves enough firepower to carry out infrequent but lethal strikes. This complex reality on the ground sharply contradicts the highly optimistic narrative coming from Washington. President Trump claims 99% of Iran's missiles are gone and factories are blown to pieces.
Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons, factories, and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left.
He predicts the war could wrap up in just 2 to 3 weeks.
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
But leaked intel called that timeline unrealistic. Iran also recently demonstrated the ability to strike the US-UK base in Diego Garcia using 4,000-kilometer range ballistic missiles, marking the first time they have utilized long-range missiles to expand the conflict beyond the Middle East. Furthermore, while the regular Iranian Navy has suffered massive losses, the separate IRGC Navy still retains roughly half of its capabilities. This includes intact coastal defense cruise missiles and hundreds, if not thousands, of small boats capable of heavily disrupting shipping in Strait of Hormuz. Experts warn that administration is likely overstating its success. As long as Iran can continue to leverage its surviving drone fleet, mobile missile launchers, and asymmetric naval tactics, military analysts warn this is turning into a long, grinding struggle. Tehran's approach now focuses on surviving long enough to maximize the economic and political costs of the war for its adversaries. Operation Epic Fury has broken the regime's back. But the threat isn't over. As long as Iran's underground missile cities and swarm fleet survive, the Strait of Hormuz remains a danger zone. Until those hidden assets are neutralized, victory is far from certain, leaving the world in a high-stakes, lethal stalemate.
Well, our panelists continue to stay with us, and I thank you for your patience. Angie Wong, I want to come to you on this. Intel assessments claiming and contradicting what Donald Trump has been saying. Intel assessments saying that this 2 to 3 week deadline that Donald Trump has set may not necessarily be true.
And that's right. And you know what? We do believe that this mission can be completed in 2 to 3 weeks. But given the most recent developments, I don't see how the U.S. can leave. If the reports that are coming in moment by moment are true, then it does look like we are currently in a search and rescue mission. The latest report has come that the Combat King 2 is a big search and rescue plane that's been flying over the southwest region of Iran in Kyrgyzstan province, and that's done by geolocation by various media outlets. It looks as though the crew of a downed American F-15E jet called the Strike Eagle might have been down, and there are 2 crew members missing. In the videos that are online right now, there only seems to be 1 ejected pilot. I did not see 2 parachutes, but again, we don't know if these are AI generated, if these are even the real footage. So I do caution everyone, but it does seem as though many reports are coming out in the U.S. right now that there is a search and rescue mission for 2 missing U.S. crew members, and that's what's happening right now in the southwest region of Iran.
So it's not just the Iranian media, it's also the American media and the world media that now seems to be talking about it. Admiral Girish, I want to ask you this. There is some amount of discussion that's happening, especially on social media, whether these jets that were downed, whether it was an F-35 or an F-15, irrespective, both of them, if either of them are true, if the jet that went down was either of them, it still comes as a big blow to the United States, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I said that earlier, that both, whether it's F-15 or F-35, they are state-of-the-art aircraft, and the United States is extremely proud of them, that they are state-of-the-art, and, in fact, they claim that they cannot be shot down, they cannot be detected, So either of them, if it's been shot down, and especially after the United States claims that they have decimated the complete air defense, and, I remember just a couple of days ago, President Trump was on record saying that our aircraft are flying freely over Iranian airspace. In such a situation, such a sophisticated, advanced aircraft being shot down, I think it's a big blow to the United States.
And this is that asymmetric warfare, Sushant Sareen, that Iran has been engaging in. I mean, we do know for a fact that since day 1 till day 30, the number of missiles, drones that have been used have drastically reduced. But could that just be because of attrition and depletion of arsenal? Or is that strategy because Iran realizes that this could prolong for a few more weeks, if not months?
It probably is the latter because, again, there is a finite, capacity that even the Iranians have to launch the ballistic missiles or the drones, or use some of the other asymmetric, tactics which they are pretty adept at. Look, the Americans are not wrong when they say that the air defense around Iran or have all been taken out. I think that's a no-brainer. Clearly, the fact that they've launched the number of sorties that they have, and out of all of those, there are just reports of 3 or 4 aircraft that have been damaged in hostile fire. Now, that could be a lucky shot, that could be some remnants of some air defense left over. It could be for a variety of reasons. It could simply be just engine trouble and, the aircraft has come down. It could be many things. But the fact of the matter remains that even if all of Donald Trump's claims, and let me, for the sake of argument, accept that everything which he's saying is right, that over the next 2 weeks, they will carry out more such operations, take out more Iranian capabilities. Will that solve the problem? And there is no guarantee on that. Will that bring Iran to its knees, and will it make the regime capitulate? There is absolutely no certainty on that. If the regime survives, yes, you might find some, maybe a couple of years of peace. But then I have been speaking to some people who say that, look, this is a regime which will then want to hit back in different ways, in more asymmetric ways across the region. And they have the capability, because of the sectarian factor, because of a number of other, reasons, that they can make life extremely difficult for the Persian Gulf littoral. So, what have you solved? Have you actually completely defanged Iran to a point where it's defenseless and you can just do whatever the hell you want to do with that country? I'm not so sure if anybody can say that with any degree of confidence. Maybe Donald Trump. But I don't think anybody else who looks at it in a more circumspect manner can make such a claim that, yes, that is the direction in which things will go. Again, uh, on the flip side, there are going to be huge problems even for the current administration in Iran. Ultimately, they will have to govern, and their ability to govern will be severely compromised given the kind of damage that has been caused during this conflict. So for them also to manage and govern with any degree of acceptability, and it's not as though they are the most popular people in Iran, right? It'll be very difficult for them to do the same thing. So from all angles, it seems that we are going to be in a bit of a mess for the foreseeable future. We don't know how the Iranians are going to react if the Americans escalate. What all infrastructure, civilian infrastructure or energy infrastructure they are going to target. Uh, it's anybody's guess. But if supposing they do start targeting what is desalination plants, bridges, or oil
And
infrastructure,
they did come out with a hit list, so to say, of at least 8 of such targets that join the Gulf nations, and that's going to be catastrophic for the entire region. But Milad Rabbani, do you see that headed that way? Do you see that this will go much beyond military infrastructure? It will eventually hit bridges and desalination plants, like Sushant Sareen was also pointing, which will send the entire Gulf region into complete chaos. And that's not something that can be rectified within weeks or months.
I believe it has already reached in this point, and the Israel and IRGC, they attacked to each other's stands and places, and Iranian regime IRGC, they attacked to Arabian around Persian Gulf countries, and they claim these attacks was launched by Israel or US, and they blame each other. Yeah, and this is their tactic, and we will observe this more and more in a few days, I believe.
Ambassador Sajanhar, if this escalates from here on, is there an exit strategy at all, or is this going to be a forever war that we see? Because even if Donald Trump decides to walk away from this, he is going to be leaving a region that stays volatile for God knows how long.
Yeah, you're very right. I think, number one, to respond to your question, the first question, my own assessment. And, under these very volatile and turbulent situation, it could be, I might not be absolutely on, the bullseye. But I don't think it's going to be a forever war, because definitely as far as, one of the main protagonists of this is concerned, that is the United States and Mr. Donald Trump. I don't think they have the stomach to stay in it for, much longer, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, but not definitely beyond that. There are a whole host of domestic issues, domestic considerations, economy, politics, support levels, etc. So I don't think it is going to continue for a long time. Secondly, I think the whole, not only the whole region, but the whole world has suffered. Talking about Iran, of course, it has been pummeled, it has been pulverized very badly, it has been punished very badly. So right now you can see that there is support for this regime, because, when there is a foreign attack, then of course everyone rises to the defense of the flag. That is what we are seeing here. But that doesn't mean, that the tens of thousands of protesters who were there on the streets in January, Poonam, that they have disappeared. No, they are very much there. Their grouse, their problems, their difficulties with the economy, with the, what we saw at that time, the depreciation of the real, the inflation, the incompetence in governance, the corruption in governance, etc., that has not gone away, nor has, the oppressive nature of the regime that was witnessed in 2022,
Correct.
when the Mahsa Amini incident took place. Meaning both the United States and Israel had thought that once they are able to decapitate the top leadership, those are the people who are going to come up and claim control of the regime. That has not happened. But once the modicum of peace returns to the region, definitely those issues are going to come up square and center, and that will create a problem. The other issue is that possibly, right now the regime in Iran is in the hands of the extremists, that is of the IRGC, who are not willing to compromise whatsoever. But as a result of that, by closing the Strait of Hormuz and by going hammer and tongs against, the infrastructure, civilian, economic infrastructure in the Gulf
In the
states,
Gulf, yes.
yeah, Iran has got all these countries against it. You saw what was in the UN General Assembly, what was the vote against Iran in terms of more than 130 countries. 60 countries now talking about how we need to get the Strait of Hormuz open. So the whole world is suffering, and they are holding Iran responsible for what is happening,
Well, but
rightly
on
or
Iran's part,
wrongly.
they hold US and Israel responsible because they claim this was an unprovoked attack. It's not
Yeah,
a
yeah,
war
yeah.
that
No,
they
that's what
asked
I
for.
said, rightly
And
or wrongly.
correct. And unfortunately, this has gone on for over 30 days. We don't know just how long this is going to go on for and for how long the world is going to feel the repercussions of a war that no one wanted. But I have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us here and sharing your perspective. We do have to leave it there. But speaking of what's happening in West Asia, my colleague Rifat Abdullah has been on ground in Israel across different cities. He was in Jerusalem earlier today, giving us a sense of what life looks like for the people of Israel, with the air raid siren ringing every few hours, with missiles being intercepted, with missiles actually striking some of these residential areas. Take a look at these reports.